Hey guys, it's TFNUT. Welcome back to the channel. And this year we're doing something a little bit different for my rounds of top 10 videos I usually do at the end of the year. I didn't have enough time to make different videos. I filmed everything I needed, but over the span of like only 2 days. And I didn't have enough time to edit individual videos that I usually do, like an individual Marvel Legends list, individual SH Figuarts, and all that. So here's the thing. This year, I'm going to do something a little bit different. I don't know if it's going to be the same as next year, but I decided to make an overall, just ultimate top 10 favorite figures of the year list, basically splitting it up into 2 videos. I was going to do it in one entire video. However, the original timestamp was 80 minutes long. That is insane. So, no, I'm not doing that. We are going to split it up into 2 videos. Today, you're going to be looking at my top 10 favorite Marvel Legends I got this year, as well as top 10 favorite SH Figuarts. And then the next video is going to be top 10 most disappointing figures of the year, as well as top 10 overall favorite of the year. So, with all of that out of the way, I think that this was a pretty good compromise. I wanted to do it as one video, but I didn't realize how long it was going to be. I think this is a good compromise to split it up because 40 minutes is a little bit more digestible, as well as the appropriate timestamps I'm going to do in the chapters. So you can use the chapter function if you want to skip around in this video and the next video as well. With that out of the way, let me do one more quick ramble. I think that there were a lot of great releases this year from a bunch of different companies, but there were also some problems from certain companies that you'll see in a little bit. Regardless, though, really great releases of figures. I didn't get every single figure I wanted this year. Unfortunately, a couple SH Figuarts towards the end of the year I had to skip out on. And 2024 is going to be hopefully an even better year. I will also be making a separate video for that at the beginning of the year, like I usually do, of my top 10 most anticipated figures of 2024. So the criteria that we have going on here is that these figures had to have been released in 2023. I had to have purchased them and reviewed them in 2023 before the cutoff, which was my Marvel Legends Luke Cage review. I also had to basically praise it at the end of each final thoughts segment of a video. So if you were to go into, let's say, in this segment, top 10 SH Figuarts, and basically my overall thoughts on the figure in this video that you're watching was from the review of that particular figure. I think a lot of you already knew that. I had to explain it for no reason. But re-releases and reissues don't exactly count, with maybe one exception, but that is going to be in an honorable mention. And it's going to be right here that you see right now. So the honorable mentions for 2022 that I was trying really hard to get them into the top 10 of 2022 list, but I did not get them until the very beginning of 2023. I'm going to give them their flowers, though. From left to right, SH Figuarts Kakashi is an absolutely astounding figure. I absolutely love this figure. It has quickly become one of my favorite SH Figuarts of all time, which is kind of saying a lot, because there's a lot of figures there, but it's such a fantastic figure. Same thing with Yor here, the normal Yor we have. I'm just letting you guys know now, unfortunately, with my cutoff, the SH Figuarts Aoi Todo and Casual Yor are not going to be able to make it in the list because I'm not going to be able to get them until January 2nd. I tried really hard to make sure that they were going to come before this list, and it was not going to work. I bet they would be somewhere in the top 10, though. But Yor here, the normal Yor, is a very well done figure. She's not perfect. She is, a little bit hard to stand. There's some parts of her that aren't the best, mostly in the torso and leg region, but she comes with a lot of great accessories, and she is my particular favorite of the 2022 Spy Family SH Figuarts releases. I'm wondering if if Casual Yor is going to be the same with the 2023 particular releases. Super Saiyan 4 Vegeta as well. I was not able to get that until the very beginning of 2023. Shout out to Ace, aka Animated Heroes, for hooking me up with one, but I was not able to get that before 2022, which I really wanted to review about that. But this is one of the ones that sold out so quick when those pre-orders dropped, I think in like the summer of 2022. I could be wrong. Now, I mentioned what I said about reissues and re-releases not being in a list. However, we have Spider-Man 185 from the Mafex line, and the reason why I have this in honorable mentions is because I think that they did differently enough with this particular release compared to the original release that it qualifies being a 2022 release. You know, a brand new paint deco where it was very vibrant colors, and really all they did, unfortunately, was just take away a head. I do kind of make that a little bit of a difference importance, I guess. I mean, it's not great that they took away a head, but I do think that there was enough different here, even though the overall body mold is the same from the original release, that it does qualify as a 2022 release. And I was not able to get it until midway of 2023. I wanted to give it its flowers here, like I said. Again, that's not really going to happen, and I'll talk about that in a quick second after these two I'm about to talk about, which is Black Series Darth Maul and Aayla Secura, which I got my pre-orders from Amazon in 2023. However, I was seeing reviews of this in America, people saying they got them from American retailers in 2022. So I don't really know what was going on there, but that to me was a qualifier that these were 2022 releases, and I can't unfortunately put these anywhere in my 2023 top 10 overall or anything. But they are all, everything you see here, really awesome figures. They just didn't come out before I was able to make my lists or do reviews of them in 2022. Also, one thing I want to say here is this is the perfect example of what it comes to where these figures here, these re-releases are not going to be at all in the top 10. It's because these were the three here that from the Hush, re-releases of MoffX figures. These three here are the exact same as they were back in 2021 or 2022. Now, if these three figures you see here, Batman, Superman, and Catwoman, were released in 2023, guarantee you guys it would be really high in my actual top 10. Loved these figures, but they are re-releases with virtually nothing different about them except they threw in a standard stand for the Batman as well as his gargoyle stand. So that's really about it. It's a little bit weird of an intro going on here. I know there's a lot of rambling, but hey, I have timestamps if you want to skip all this crap. So with that out of the way, we're going to start with the top 10 Marvel Legends, in my opinion, of 2023. Now I gotta be honest, guys, I got 12 Marvel Legends this year. I counted only 12. That's kind of insane for me because I usually get like 20 to 25. And I didn't even reach half that. It's kind of crazy. And two of those Marvel Legends did not deserve to be on this list at all. So this top 10 Marvel Legends list is probably not going to be anywhere near as good as other Marvel Legends collectors who make their videos and they get every Marvel Legends that comes out in a year. So if you don't think you're going to be digging this part of the video, I recommend clicking on a different section of the video or just going and watching somebody else's top 10 Marvel Legends of the year. I don't blame you for it. I still wanted to make a top 10 Marvel Legends this year because there were some pretty good Marvel Legends that I got, and there's some great ones that I didn't even pick up yet, and I'll have to pick up later. They just won't be part of this list. This may be my last time I do a top 10 Marvel Legends list for a particular year. I'll do Marvel Legends videos in the future, of course, and I'll keep buying Marvel Legends, just probably not as many, just because kind of like with my top 10 Black Series of 2022 list, I just wasn't really digging Marvel Legends this year. Again, that's not to say that there were bad figures overall. Again, there's some great ones I didn't pick up. It's just that Marvel Legends really isn't a priority in my collection anymore. I have so many Marvel Legends that I just, now when I see some new ones, besides some characters that have never been made before, I just really don't feel the need to pick them up. I don't need another Spider-Man or Captain America or Iron Man or anything like that. So that's just kind of where I'm at with the line. You can feel differently if you want, and I don't really blame you for it. Also, I wanted to quickly mention that there is no top 10 Star Wars The Black Series list at all this year because I did not get enough Black Series to make one. That is insane. That has not happened ever. I don't know when that last time that happened, but yeah, I did not buy 10 Black Series this year, and I don't think I'm going to be buying 10 Black Series in the future because I'm kind of done with the line, if I'm being honest. Sorry for a little bit of a doomer intro, but I do want to give some praise to some Marvel Legends, and we're going to be starting at number 10. At number 10, I got Kingpin here, and this is the MCU Kingpin. I forget exactly which. It's one of the Marvel, MCU, Marvel Disney Plus waves or whatever. This is a really nice figure. I do think it's, it's not super perfect. It doesn't come with that many accessories, which I don't have all the accessories right now for everything. I'm still in the middle of packing, moving into a new apartment while doing this video. I do think that what reuse is here is actually pretty nice. And this figure is really bright because of his coat. These suit arms are actually really good. And even though this gets in the way of torso articulation, they did a pretty good job with the soft plastic coat here. And I've always liked these more thick, you know, stocky, I guess, pantsuit legs for some of these characters, but they just are really blocky when you move the knees like that. And I wish that they had an ankle swivel. It's really just this, and I feel like it's just a little bit hindered. The biggest compliment I can give this figure, though, this head sculpt looks so much like the actor Vincent D'Onofrio that it's kind of insane. This is some of the best face printing, if you ask me. In person, it looks just so good. And it's going to look great. You know, he doesn't interact with that many MCU characters, but, you know, he actually looks pretty sick. If you have a final suit version of Spider-Man, or if you have the 2017 Netflix Daredevil, then this is going to be perfect in your collection. Number 9 is going to be the Astonishing X-Men Cyclops, which originally I wasn't really planning on keeping. I was considering returning it, but overall, you know, as I, had more time to play with it, I ended up liking this a lot more than I thought I was going to. And it makes me want to see some more astonishing versions of those characters to go along with this Cyclops. Biggest complaint is that he just doesn't really come with really any extra accessories. I think it was like extra fists. I forget exactly. No bath piece. I'm pretty sure this was the double packed figure with the Wolverine or whatever it was. It just didn't really come with that much. I wish it had a normal beam piece or an actual like beam shooting effect. It's just this here. So I wish that they actually gave some more accessories, and they just don't give up that many accessories with Marvel Legends anymore. I also thought that this figure was reusing a lot of parts, mostly the Vulcan body, but I believe, I've been looking, ever since I got this figure, pretty sure this is a brand new sculpt. Lots of great details going on here. I really like that, they gave it its musculature while also making it look like an actual suit. Paint apps, where there are paint apps, is really nice. There are some gold areas that are molded in this plastic that aren't great. They have these keyed in parts here that match, so it's not just loose bands or anything like the Jim Lee Cyclops. It's still a fine figure, but yeah, just really solid overall, and I ended up having a lot more fun with this thing than I thought I was going to. Number 8 is going to be Daredevil Elektra from one of these Spider-Man series. Yeah, I actually really like this a lot. I can't believe I didn't get the Daredevil to go with this yet, so I'll try to get that soon. This was extremely nice. I can't tell exactly what was reused and what was brand new. I think most of this was brand new. So, lots of great new stuff going on here. Double jointed elbows for the female body here, looking great. Lots of unique parts, like the bagginess of the pants. All that looks really fantastic. Still some really awesome articulation. She came with some nice accessories. I don't have, I actually don't remember exactly all it came with, but, you have this option to have the head with or without the bandana, and she had her weapons as well. Again, I don't have a lot of the accessories right now because I'm still packing. Just great details. It's very fun, very posable. I think the head articulation wasn't the greatest. I think the torso articulation could also be a little bit better. A couple of paint splashes, mostly in this red armband where the black meets the red and all that. But actually still a really fantastic figure. Number 7, I gotta give it to the first appearance Iron Man. This is a particular version of Iron Man we've been needing an update for a long time, and while I still really like the Toy Biz version, I think that they did a fantastic job updating first appearance Iron Man here. I don't think it's perfect. I think that overall, the metallic finish on here isn't fantastic, but it really isn't a finish, I guess. And I mean, they just mold this figure in this particular type of metallic plastic, as you see here. They do this a lot, and I think they've done it worse on different figures compared to this one. They also did attempt some areas of dry brushing of some scratches in some of this figure here. I do wish that they gave an actual alternate head or a removable faceplate like the Toy Biz one. That would have been a really nice attention to detail like with the previous one. But I think it came with alternate hands. I think it came with enough accessories on its own to warrant the price point. It was like $27, I think. That was the thing with this particular. This was like the anniversary release of Avengers stuff, which usually gets price hiked even more than Marvel Legends are right now. But this was one where it was like $27 or something, under 30, and I think it was actually worth that price. And it's just a very cool looking figure. Now, I just reviewed this figure, and if you thought there was any recency bias, keep in mind older Marvel Legends from this year are going to be higher than this spot right here. The number 6 spot I'm giving to the final suit version of Spider-Man from No Way Home. I do really like this figure a lot more than I thought I was going to. Again, not perfect. I think that the proportions could definitely be better. I think his arms are just a little too long. I think Spider-Man characters, different iterations, I should say, their arms could be a little bit long, but I think it's just too much here. Feet are a little too small if you ask me. I think the legs might be just a tiny bit too small as well. And there's, paint is definitely not perfect here, especially on the masked head. Yeah, you could see some paint splotching right there. There's white on there. And it was even, there was 2 of these at my local Target, and it was even worse on the second one. So I picked the better one, and, the paint still isn't amazing. But the rest of the paint, it's not easy to get the black paint apps on the sculpted web lines. And they actually did it really well. A lot of the blue finish on here is actually really good looking. I like the spider logo there and there. And he actually comes with a full set of accessories, fists, flipping hands, and wall crawling hands. And some of the articulation could be a little bit better. I think the ab crunch just wasn't amazing. And the upper ball joint here for the torso was a little too tight. The rest of it, though, is really fantastic. And it is a very cool looking Spider-Man figure. Okay, top 5 Marvel Legends for me this year. Luke Cage is going to be above that Spider-Man, even though this particular figure doesn't come with that many accessories, just because I like this figure that much. I think that this head sculpt is so cool. It is such a fantastic head sculpt. Again, this is not a perfect figure. The skin tones don't match up very well. He has limited articulation in the torso, which we knew about, but it's still not great. I do think that parts of the yellow look just a little too plasticky. I know it's a toy, but I do wish they made it look a little bit more realistic with some paint. Other than that, some of the reused parts, I think it's mostly the arms that are reused from previous figures, and they're really nice here. But there's a lot new going on here, and I think that the chest, the way that looks is great. The actual shirt, again, it impedes in articulation a little bit, but it looks fantastic. The metallic, the paint on this, actually, I think it's molded in this color. Metallic here is really good. These are definitely molded in the metallic color. It's metallic silver, but they still look really good. And then it all just looks fantastic. It's such a good looking classic Luke Cage that we've been needing for so long. And I'm really glad it's not an exclusive. And this is the return of the traditional packaging for these particular figures. Not that that should really play too much of a factor into this decision of the spot. But I just really like the Marvel Knights releases of Marvel Legends, and this is no exception. Number 4 has got to go to the Marvel Legends Target exclusive Black Widow. This is the new, super articulated body mold for females, which I think they're probably going to do different, sculpts with just a little bit of retooling here and there. But this is so nice. I think it was a little bit under or around 30. And it really is worth that price point. It comes with a lot of accessories that I don't have here right now, like I said. But the different head sculpts are really nice. This is my particular favorite here, but none of those face sculpts are bad. Like previous Black Widow figures, one head sculpt would be great, and then the other ones would be really bad. All of them are fantastic on this particular figure. Really great amount of accessories. The articulation is really nice on here. Like, this is very similar to some of the, there's a couple of female Black Series figures that have this similar type of articulation. And they are some of the best Black Series in, the line. And, this has that similar articulation. And this really is one of the better recent female Marvel Legends in a long time. I just wish that some females, before this figure had this amount of articulation in there. But hopefully, moving forward, we're going to get a lot more females with just really fantastic articulation like this. Number 3 is Tracksuit Mafia, the Target exclusive army builder. I am so surprised how much I like this figure. Don't get me wrong, it's not perfect, It's got some limitations to the articulation, mostly due to the sculpt, but everything that's reused here is the perfect kind of reuse that I want to see on, maybe like civilian characters. These particular suit legs with the pinless tech are great for tracksuit pants. The sneakers too. These, casual these are like the Peter Parker and Stan Lee jacket arms. They look fantastic, and they have a brand new torso. 3 different heads that you have with just one figure. I think it does help that when I bought 3 of these, it was $15 off an order of $75 or more, which that qualified. So I basically got these, if you can focus, for 60, 60 total, $20 each. So that kind of helps with that. But even if you got one at 25 or 27, whatever it was, I don't exactly remember. The pricing was a little bit weird when this was released. This is such a fantastic arm builder. You can use this for different kit bashing or customizing in the future. But I was only able to get 3 of these, but I used them in a ton of different like street level ACBA, and it's just such a really nice army builder. I think it's one of their best ones, honestly, they've ever had. Number 2, I have to give it this Ultimate Captain America. I honestly, at some point, thought I was skipping it this year. That is kind of insane to think about, but I'm glad I didn't, because this is such a nice figure. I've said before, I don't need another Captain America, but this really is one of the best Captain Americas I think they've ever done. It's not perfect. There's some things about the Marvel Legends-isms, I guess, that's not great about it. With this particular sculpt, this is the only range of motion you're getting out of the torso. Actually, I think there's a swivel in there. Yeah, never mind. But the forward and back is only here, and it's really bad. You have to mod it, and even then, modding it is really hard to do. And on my particular figure, there are parts that are scuffed, paint splotches and all that, which is like that with a lot of Marvel Legends. It's still really nice, though. I think paint apps could be better and more prevalent in some areas, but it has a really great, unique sculpt overall. I just wish it maybe came with an unmasked head. I think the 20th anniversary Captain America head works with this. But lots of great new stuff going on here, and it's just a really nice articulated piece. Again, the torso could be much better. The only thing is that if you see here, you notice that this is not the same shield that came with this figure. It's the traditional shield they've been using for like over a decade. I don't like it at all. They have to change it. They need to do it more like this. This is a first Avenger shield. Even if he can't holster on his back or anything, I really don't care. They need to do it more like this, because that C-clip that has the peg on it where the C-clip can break if you just put it on the wrist ever so slightly, that has got to go. But other than that, man, this is such a fantastic Captain America. And at number 1, my favorite Marvel Legends figure this year, to a bit of no surprise, because I praised this figure when I got it, just haven't really messed around with it ever since. I guess I've had other figures to, look at, is, of course, Extremis Iron Man. Very awesome to have this updated figure here. It's such a good look and piece, man. All the unique detailing and sculpt work going on here is so good. It does reuse some accessories. I think some, was it blast effects or smoke effects? I forget exactly. But you can use, different, accessories from different Marvel Legends Iron Man figures you've gotten over the past couple of years for this particular figure. What we do have here is really nice. I do think that the red could be better. It's not really that metallic. It definitely has more of a plastic look to it, but the gold on this figure is so good. It is really fantastic. This head sculpt's great. I just wish we had more, alternate heads for some of these figures, especially this one too. I do think the range of motion here wasn't too bad. There was some other parts I think could have been a little bit better in the articulation department, but all the articulation you need here is here. And these pieces move up so you can actually move the hips around. It's just such a fun figure. These things aren't perfect. They are soft plastic, but they can bend over time if you keep it like this. It's really good. It's super solid, man. I know there was a bit of a controversy where he can't really get into that like landing crouching pose that they showed on the box. That is kind of insane to me that they did that. But either way, this is a fantastic Iron Man figure that I think a lot of Iron Man fans need to add to their collection if they haven't already. Now we're moving on to top 10 favorite SH Figuarts of 2023, at least for me. A lot of you know how I feel about Bandai Tamashii Nations this year. There were some absolutely fantastic figures in the line. There were also some really messy figures, and we will be talking about that in a little bit. But I cannot deny that the actual characters revealed and released this year were really stacked in the SH Figuarts line. It's probably one of their best years when it comes to actual reveals and different releases of characters. It's just that quantity was definitely over quality this year with a decent amount of these figures, unfortunately. That's not to say that, that's the case with the top 10 here, because these 10 figures, it was actually pretty difficult to decide who was getting snubbed from this particular top 10, who was going to make it. But ultimately, it came down to more personal preference. as the deciding factor of making it on the list as well. So let's go ahead and start with number 10. Number 10 is going to be the Raid on Onigashima version of Luffy from One Piece. Some of you may be shocked by this. Here's the thing. I think that this figure is just a little too overhated. Don't get me wrong. It was really hard to decide between this figure and some other ones on the list. Or, who didn't make the list, actually. And I gotta admit, yes, this is a very unacceptable knee bend. It's not even 90 degrees. It's 2023. There's a way for you to engineer this without such a horrible bend for these particular pants. Me personally, besides that, as well as some stiffness in the joints going on here, mostly in the shoulders. Like you can see where the shock oil is still there from the review that I did. So, not great there, but everything else about this, it's just such a good looking figure. The accessories that we do have on here is really nice. And I know some people are probably annoyed about the Build-A-Figure pieces for this, basically with other One Piece characters. I'm okay with it since they're easier to get than Premium Bandai, limited runs. A lot of what is new here, it's completely new, and it's just really fantastic for $35, man. It's really sick. Like, look at that. The fact, okay, my camera's been going out of whack today. That is just really cool. Great engineering for that. It's simple, but really effective. And it's just a really nice piece to have. Now, yes, we're getting the East Blue version, which I think is going to be a little bit better. That's what I prefer a little bit more. But I had a lot of fun with this figure. Number 9 is going to be Power from Chainsaw Man. I'm surprised that this was actually lower on the list. And here's the thing. This figure is really nice. It's just that it's made in Vietnamisms are kind of here. I don't really like that it's very pale and kind of yellowish in some areas to where the paint just kind of... I've said it over and over again, but it really does look like a bootleg to me. It's not like super duper apparent. I just don't think that they executed this perfectly enough to keep it, higher on the list here. But what we do have is really nice. She comes with pretty much every accessory this particular character needs. I will say, wherever it was, I think it was the shoulder rotation. Some of these figures have had really bad rotation here lately, but I shock oiled this and it was, these areas, they was able to be fine. I thought I almost broke something here, but once I shock oiled it, it was fine. Some of the articulation a little bit hindered just because of this stomach piece here, the way that's done, accurately, that can get in the way a bit. And my knees are still pretty loose, like ever since I got this figure. But like, you can't beat the fact that she comes with every face and hand, and a weapon that she needs. Her blood daggers are really cool. I don't have those accessories on me right now. The Meowie that we have with this particular figure is better than the Good Smile version, if you ask me. She has the blood hammer. Just a really nice figure overall that goes great with the rest of your Chainsaw Man figures. Number 8 is going to be Katana Man, aka Samurai Sword. This is such an easy figure to like, man. I really like it. I don't remember much of the complaints that I would have had. I think the legs separate a little too much. And I think, this coat kind of gets in the way of getting poses down right. It is a pretty soft plastic, so there's that. I actually think that the hand system is slightly better on this figure compared to Chainsaw Man, because these actually stay in and sometimes Chainsaw Man doesn't really want to. This is just such a nice looking piece. It's just, a few other SH Figuarts this year I just thought were a tiny bit better, but this thing is still really fantastic. I actually like, I say this now and this actually popped out pretty easily. But I do like that SH Figuarts were actually willing, or Tamashii Nation, I should say, was willing to give us blood on these characters. Maybe it could have had a little bit more blood throughout, but everything about this figure that's new comes together really nice. I think that, when you bend this a little too much because of the soft plastic in the stomach, it can be a little distracting. To me personally, there's some things about it that just aren't perfect, but it's kind of mostly in the character design. a lot of what they got done right is really well done. Number 7 is The Amazing Spider-Man from No Way Home. Now look, I know a lot of us were upset that we were not getting the Andrew Garfield head, but at least we got proper notice ahead of time from Tamashii Nations, and with some particular retailers, I think every retailer was supposed to drop the price because of that. I could be wrong, but I think we need to judge this based on its own merits with the actual release. Yes, it is disappointing we don't get an Andrew Garfield head, but what we do have is still really awesome, man. This is such a really nice looking figure. I love a lot of the details in here. Like, look at all that individual detailing. Yeah, sure, you may get that with a Marvel Legends figure, but it's not going to be as prominent and good looking as what we have here. Not perfect. I think proportions are a little off. Mostly the legs look a little stumpy. I think that the actual length is fine. It's just the way that they engineered some things. The crotch system here is still not perfect with these Spider-Man figures. And I think that it kind of makes it look a little short in the legs when it actually isn't. But, I mean, the amount of accessories we have here, all those different web accessories, different hands, there's really not much for me to hate on this figure. Might be some Spider-Man bias, I guess, but, these particular movies, the Amazing Spider-Man movies, aren't my particular favorite, even though I love Andrew Garfield as Spider-Man. This is just such a fantastic figure. Maybe the headset's a little too high, but that's really my only complaint. Number 6, I'm going to give it to Yuzuriha from Hell's Paradise. Now, some people may think this is recency bias since this just came out and I just reviewed it earlier this month. I will say, again, kind of like with Marvel Legends, there are some early released SH Figuarts on this list that went higher than this. But this is a really fantastic figure. The way that they did her, man, it is just so nice looking. They got really all her details down that they really needed to. I think that she might have some glossy skin tones. Paint isn't perfect in some areas. It's not consistent with the skin tone here compared to what is clearly painted on her hips, on her torso. And I do wish that, and again, I don't have the accessories. Her sword is not, usable at all. It really only is meant to be holstered on her back. But this is such a gorgeous looking figure that captured her really well. All the details about her are really well done. Everything else she comes with, like the kunai and the different hands and different faces, all those faces are perfect for this particular character. Maybe some slime effects and some removable canisters, so she had something else to work with. I think her feet are I think they're proportionally accurate, but because they're kind of small, it's a little bit harder for her to stand. That's really it, man. I really dig this figure a lot. We are getting to the top 5 of the SH Figuarts list, and a little bit of a spoiler, you're going to see a decent amount of these on the top 10 overall list. So, yeah, there's that. Number 5 is Short King Gabimaru from Hell's Paradise. I really dig this figure. I think it's just ever so slightly better than Yuzuriha's for the simple fact that he has a sword that he can actually use. It's not perfect like a lot of these figures. This harder plastic chest going in, digging into the softer plastic stomach causes some scuffing that was apparent in the review. And kind of like with some of their other main Vietnam figures like this one here, I do think that it looks a little yellowish in some areas, and some of the gray, from what I remember, like it's darker here, and then this is a little bit brighter. So some of the gray in his outfit wasn't super consistent. But it's really hard to dislike this figure, at least for me. This is such a really nicely engineered figure. Lots of great detail and articulation going on here. The posability is insane on this figure. You can get him into really any pose you want. The joints, there is like no stiffness going on here. The other accessories, like the different face plates, and the fact that you have him with the the bandana face as well, that's really sick. And again, he comes with a sword, so he can actually go up against certain enemies. I just wish he came with some fire effects. They really skimp out on those. We do have other options from Tamashii Nations for fire effects, but I wish he came with some specific ones. But this is just such a fantastically engineered and just really good looking figure. Number 4 is Sukuna from Jujutsu Kaisen. Here's the thing, a lot of you are probably going to say, this is just a whole bunch of reuse from Itadori, what the heck? Yeah, I get it. There may be a little bit of Jujutsu Kaisen bias in this part for me because I love this series, but also Suguru Geto that SH Figuarts figure is nowhere near the top 10 this year, just because I didn't hate it, but I think it could have been better. It's probably one of my least favorite JJK SH Figuarts figures. And I'm surprised how much I like this one. I didn't think I was going to like it that much because of the reuse. But what is new here and all the reused parts with it, it all just works out really well. Like, all these plates are just really fantastic. All the markings on his body are perfect. You know, the actual paint on here and some of the actual sculpting for it is really great. I just wish that he came with two things. An angrier, combative face, as well as, instead of the Yuji Itadori face we do get, where it's Yuji looking at the face talking, the mouth talking on his face, we had a happy expression for Itadori because, he smiles a lot and maybe not anymore. But again, yeah, sure. These are the exact same legs, besides maybe the crotch piece, for Itadori. But it's such a fun figure. It poses around really well. The accessories that we do get are really fantastic. And it was really hard for me to just keep this off the list. I can't help but put it so high just because of how well they executed everything going on with this figure. Number 3 is going to go to Orange Piccolo from Dragon Ball Super Superhero, and I am surprised I like this figure as much as I do. I like it more than the Beast Gohan figure, which is nowhere near my top 10 here in this video. I think it was in my top 10 most anticipated, and this ended up beating it out. Not that Beast Gohan is bad, I just don't think it's much better compared to last year's Gohan, and it has its own problems. This thing here, there's really not a lot here for me to dislike, man. This is such a really well done figure. The different head sculpts are great. I guess these are a little fragile, but I don't have a problem with those yet. A lot of the new sculpting here is fantastic. I think the torso articulation is a little bit hindered, but you can still get some really good range of motion out of there. It's just there's obviously a hinge going on in this middle section, but it is hindered by the soft plastic shirt. But you don't get, nearly as hindered shoulders as Beast Gohan with this particular figure. Everything comes together really nice. I think that it could have there could be a tiny bit more prominent shading in some areas, but you can see the light purple shading in the dark purple there. And everything, I say this a lot, everything comes together really nice. This one, it's just so good looking when everything is put together. Like, this is what I think of when it comes to premium Bandai releases. This here is such a well done figure that it feels premium to me, and it really is just so awesome. Number 2 is SH Figuarts Toby Spider-Man. I can't help it. I really like this figure, man. I know that we're going to get a Mafex one that's probably going to be better than this one. I know some people may prefer the Marvel Legends one, and I can't really, speak entirely because I don't own that one. Man, I just really like this, man. It may have a little bit of nostalgia to it, even though details here aren't 100% accurate to the original Raimi films. This is the No Way Home version, of course. Kind of similar to the Amazing Spider-Man figure. The legs look a little bit short in some areas, and I still don't really like how they do the crotch system area for these particular Spider-Man figures. But I just like this figure a lot. It just looks fantastic. All the different detail and sculpting on here is very good. And the reason why it is as high as it is compared to the Amazing Spider-Man is because I was very skeptical that the Toby head sculpts were going to be good. I saw images and I didn't think they looked very good. Those images weren't the best quality either. Once I had it in hand, I had no problems with the unmasked faces with this particular figure. It made this figure that much better. Such great articulation. Yeah, I do think that this is ugly here. That's unfortunate with, how the design is kind of done with the engineering and all that. So I can get people having a problem with that. I know there are some people that don't think that this is a perfect figure as much as, some people want to say that it is perfect. It also is not. These hands are really small too. I just ended up having so much fun with these Spider-Man figures from SH Figuarts this year, and then this one is it's just so good. And at number 1, it's going to be Chainsaw Man. It's no surprise you guys are familiar with this channel. It's not just because I'm a big Chainsaw Man fan. I just really think that this is such a fun figure. No matter at what point in the year, if I just can't put it down, that is criteria to being the top of the list. It's just such a fantastically done figure. It's not perfect. I do wish they didn't give us a separate Denji figure and gave the Denji parts to this like they did with Good Smiles. That Figma one has a little bit of an edge there, but I always thought that this looked better than Figma's. I don't own that one yet, and I feel like I don't really need to. I love this look so much. The fact that there's actual blood on the chainsaw arms is so fantastic. These hands do pop out really, like right now, they pop out just way too easily, so that is something that I am not happy with that. And then, the bottom half of this mouth, the more you're moving this head around, the more it does tend to want to loosen up and want to fall out. But man, this is just so good. It's got such great engineering. Even the shoes that I thought weren't going to be done super well, you get a full range of motion out of that. That's so cool. It does have soft plastic parts, but you really can't tell how things are bent once you're moving the figure around. The tie just pop out. So the biggest problem is that parts just fall out a little too easily for this figure. But it's a beautiful piece, man. I loved it ever since I got it. I loved it since it was revealed. It was #1 on my most anticipated list. And it's no surprise that it's #1 on my favorite SH Figuarts of the year. Okay, so if you ask me, the top 10 Marvel Legends section I made was pretty lackluster just because I didn't get that much stuff. So I'm sure somebody else's top 10 Marvel Legends of the year is going to be better than mine, and I wouldn't disagree with that. I do think I had a decent SH Figuarts list, though. There may be some hot takes here and there of what's on this list that some people think maybe shouldn't be on the list, and that's completely fine. So honestly, I like to know your thoughts of this list down in the comments below. Is there anything on this list that you think shouldn't be on there, and vice versa? Is there anything that you like that isn't on here? Keep in mind, I didn't get every single release from these companies that was covered in this video, so that may be the only reason why you didn't see it on the list. So I'd like to know your thoughts down in the comments below. The next video coming up is going to be my top 10 most disappointing figures of the year, which I try to avoid bad figures. Figures I think is going to be bad, I guess. But there's some figures that I ended up buying that I thought I was going to like, and then they just ended up not being that impressive to me. So that will be covered in the next video. And then right after that, in the same video, is going to be top 10 overall favorites of the year for me, which I think a lot of you are probably going to be more favorited towards, I guess. So we'll wait and see, but yeah, better to split it up into 2 videos, and I guess 40 minutes is a little bit more digestible than the original intention. So thank you guys for watching. Please subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Comment down below what you think about my picks for these particular lists, and again, I'd like to know some of yours down in the comments below, and I will see you guys later.